competition among the finest bowlers in the world. It's the Pro Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by Firestone, the radial tire people, makers of the Steel Radio 500. And by Monroe Shock Absorbers. If worn shocks make your car sway and roll, and it's like driving at sea, let Monroe put you back on solid ground. And by Ebonite Professional Quality Bowling Products, makers of the famous Gyro Ballast Bowling Ball. For the thrill of winning, it's Ebonite.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
The San Francisco Bay Area deserves all the superlatives heaped on it. A magnificent scene, water leading from the Pacific, the Golden Gate and Bay Bridges, truly an area of charm. Today we've crossed the Bay Bridge, headed east some 15 miles to arrive in Alameda, specifically to Mel Bowl, where the world's finest bowlers have been competing for the top prize of $7,000. ABC Sports brings you the exciting final rounds of the $60,000 ARC Alameda Open, another great tournament in the Pro Bowlers Association's 1975 tour. And now, let's meet the 5 tournament leaders who will be competing for the top prize money of $7,000 in the number 5 position. Bowling in the first match today, a 12-time PBA champion, Wayne Zahn of Tempe, Arizona. He will meet the tournament's 4th-ranked bowler, first time on television, 25-year-old Bill Spigner of Hamden, Connecticut. The winner of the first game will challenge the number 3 bowler, 28-year-old, 8-time PBA champion, Barry Asher of Salesa, California. The winner of this match will challenge the number 2 man in the tournament, first time in the money, Fred Connor of Mar Vista, California. And the winner of that semifinal game will bowl for the championship against the tournament leader. He's 27 years old, looking for his first victory, Mickey Higham of Kansas City, Missouri. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, and I'm speaking to you from the approaches here where the competition will begin in just a few moments. We're happy to be back for the 14th consecutive year. ABC Sports spanning the United States, and this year, 16 different telecasts in as many weeks. So we're proud of our longevity of 14 consecutive years. Yes, bowling has its many traditions, and here in our telecast of the 12 of the 14 years, there is a big part of that tradition missing, with the untimely and sudden death of our colleague and friend, Billy Waylew, last spring. How do you describe Billy? Well, there's no better way to describe Billy Waylew than to say that he was big league in a multitude of ways. The champion out on the lanes, the big guy from Texas, commanded as much attention and adoration when he wasn't bowling because he was affable, sharp-witted, and classy. And that's the way he was, and that's the way friends and fans, everybody, will remember him forever. And I truly think poet James Whitcomb Riley said it best. When one of his friends passed away, he said, he is not dead, he is just away. So, away we go now with our first telecast. During the next 4 weeks, we're going to have 4 great bowling champions. We have the greatest of them all with us the first week, out of St. Louis, Missouri, 24 PBA titles, a Hall of Famer, and our friend, Dick Weber.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks very much for remembering our dear friend Billy Waylew, a great champion.
We have a couple of veterans going in the field today against 3 men that are just sort of getting started when it comes to television.
Yes, it's a very interesting situation, Chris. The 2 boys that you're talking about, the veterans, are Barry Asher and Wayne Zahn. They're already qualified for the $100,000 Firestone Tournament Champions, but we have 3 boys that aren't. And it's really going to put the pressure on the old veterans, as I said.
What are they faced on this pair today?
Well, first of all, they have to watch their speed, and second of all, they have to watch the amount of hook that they throw on the lanes. They can't throw too big of a hook, and yet they have to still put enough stuff on the ball to carry the pins up.
Okay, Richard, we look forward to your commentary.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, our tournament leader and the man to beat this afternoon is Mickey Higham for $7,000 in this impressive trophy. Here in Alameda, California, we'll be back on the Pro Bowlers Tour. again, here's how the final matches are set in today's competition. In the first match, our 5th-ranked bowler, Wayne Zahn, will meet the 4th-ranked bowler in the tournament thus far, Bill Spigner. Now, the winner of this match will meet Barry Asher, who is in 3rd place. If successful, he will meet the 2nd-place bowler, Fred Connor. And the winner of this match will go for the championship against our tournament leader, Mickey Higham. Remember, each competitor keeps advancing as long as he keeps his winning streak alive. So before a capacity crowd here at Mel's Bowl in Alameda, California, here comes the first stroke. In the blue shirt, 12-time PBA champion, Wayne Zahn. Dick, how do they determine who bowls first?
Well, the bowler that finishes in the higher spot has the right to pick the lane. In other words, in this case, Figner would have the right to choose the lane he wants to start on or have Zahn start on. So he chose to have Zahn start the match on lane 29, and he will start on lane 30.
All right. Waiting for a reset on lane 29 here at Mel's Bowl. Wayne Zahn, 33 years old. I doubt if that will shake him up because he's seen that happen before in all the years of competition, Dick.
He's pretty much of a seasoned veteran for Chris. He won't let anything like this shaken up. He's reminiscing his basic fundamentals.
Ooh, and to be faced with such a thing right off.
This is the key shot today, Chris. I think that most of the bowlers are going to try to really give the ball an extreme amount of drift, but they want to dislike that ball slid too far. It didn't have enough churn on the end, enough grind on the end, as we call it, to knock out the 5-7.
Trying for the split. Oh, went all the way. But it gives him an open frame. Wayne Zahn and his competition today in this first game is 25-year-old bachelor Bill Spigner, who lives in Hamden, Connecticut. Let's watch the 170-pounder. Got a little reaction out of Bill Spigner, uptight because of the lights, the pressure of trying to win the $7,000 first prize, and the fact that this is Bill's first television appearance. And like Fred Connor and Mickey Higham, he'll be seeking his first PBA triumph. So can he double?
For the first time on TV, Chris, he's very cautious about setting his hand in the ball. You notice he wiped his thumb all out, was very careful about that. Which is unusual for a youngster getting on TV the first time.
And Bill Spigner has a double, and jumping off to a 22-pin lead. Now, pressure's on Wayne Zahn. And Dick, this is one thing about bowling, just from frame to frame, the pressure can change, can shift.
Yes, if you really don't concentrate on your basics, you've really lost the thing.
Oh, Wayne Zahn still looking for his first strike, meeting Bill Spigner.
Here's the hit, Chris. See, the ball's sliding so much, it really never grabs the lane. And he was very lucky there to get out of the split, actually.
So going for the 4-7 now. Never in doubt. Still marking with a spare. Wayne Zahn, who's trailing by 22 pins. Our statistician today, champion Skeet Feremsky.
Now let's see if he makes the one correction on this particular lane, the way he left the 5-7 the first frame, Chris. He must move to the right a little bit and give a little more lift and slow the speed down. Just another fraction of an inch, and he might have had it, Chris. He's just still a little bit too fast with the ball. He's still a little bit too far inside with the ball. I'd like to caution our viewers, and when they have trouble on particular lanes like this, just move the board 2 at a time to your right until you see that ball snap in a little bit, and that's what Wayne is really looking for at the particular time.
The 5-pin. Now you're looking at Bill Spigner. He has a double up with a 23-pin lead. He tries to make it 3 in a row. Using about 3/4 of the approach as he will be moving to the line in a moment. As usual, during our live ABC Sports telecast of the Professional Bowlers Tour, should a bowler string together 12 in a row or a perfect game, ABC will present him with a $10,000 check. That plus a Lincoln Mercury Cougar. And it was right here last year, Dick Weber, that Jim Stefanich did that very thing.
Isn't that sweet?
Spigner leading by 33, trying to make it a 4-bagger on the left lane. All right, 8 to go. All right, we'll return in a moment. Tour, a look at positions 6 through 12 in this year's ARC Alameda Open. There they are. And we're in our very first game. And we have Bill Spigner going against Wayne Zahn. We're looking at Wayne now. He has 27 through the second with a spare up in the third, trailing by 43. Oh, a 10-pin for Wayne Zahn.
There's the adjustment he's been looking for, Chris. He feels that he's found it on lane 30. Now, his key thing is finding it on lane 29 so he can really get zeroed in because he can't afford too many more spares. He's got to start striking.
Wayne got into the 5-man final in the very last game last night. And he covers the 10-pin there for Wayne Zahn. Had Ron Lisher made a strike, Wayne would have not been on television today.
And that was a close one, Chris. That was very interesting last night.
Ron is the alternate or the 6th man and picked up a sizable check for his efforts as we have Wayne now over on the left lane. 5th frame, first game. There it is. A quick screen replay of that last stroke, Dick Weber.
All right, Chris. Now, look, he's made his adjustment. He's made an adjustment just like he wanted to. He's extended well, got the ball to roll good, and look how the ball hits, hard and solid. That's what he's looking for all the way through.
Our first stop at a tour of 16 cities across the United States. Today's show, which is on an hour earlier than usual, next week and weeks to follow, will be on at 3:30 Eastern Time. Now going for 5 in a row. 7 to go.
This young boy has it, Chris. He really has the composure on that approach. He really takes his time, which I always remember the first time that I was on TV. I was so nervous. I was more worried about what I was going to do on TV than my bowling. And this boy has taken a matter of seconds to study and reminisce his basic fundamentals, going to the foul line, his arm swing, making sure that he keeps the ball slow, extending well to his spot, the whole bit. He's really great.
All right, Bill Spigner, 5'11", 170 pounds. He finished 31st right here last year in Mel's Bowl, winning $680. He's going to win more than that today. His best finish ever was 9th in Las Vegas in 1974, an event won by Jim Stefanich, who bowled that perfect game a year ago here. Well, he's halfway. Bill Spigner, 6 straight strikes in the first week of our 1975 Professional Bowlers Tour. 6 of them. Leading by 64 pins, and there isn't a lot you can do when your opponent's stringing them like that, but here's Zahn with a strike up. He has a double. was right here at this site that last year's television finals, the highest scoring event in PBA history, there was a 247 average per man. Dick Weber, that's incredible.
My goodness, 6th life. That's my high game of the last year, you know
come
that?
on. You'll be bowling in the Greater Los Angeles Open next week in Arcadia.
Looking forward to it. George Snow and the bunch down at the lane.
Now Wayne Zahn, as you see, he has strikes in the 5th and 6th frames. Leaving the 7 pin on the left lane.
That was a very costly pin to him, Chris. He wanted that hit very badly. He wanted to put a little more pressure on Bill Spigner, but of course, like you say, it's hard to beat the number of 6 strikes in a row.
Going somewhat cross lane to try and cover the 7 pin. And makes it. All right. Again repeating, this is the very first game. And Bill Spigner has a 55-pin lead, and he has strung 6. We'll be back to see number 7 in a moment. From a different angle, some of the crowd, capacity crowd, at Hell's Bowl in Alameda, California. The ARC Alameda Open, and here's the young man in this very first game that has strung 6 in a row. Perfect up to now. The 25-year-old Bill Spigner. Let's get a profile replay, Dick Weber.
All right, here we go. He's going into his approach. He's got everything timed perfectly. He couldn't ask for anything any better. He's got the ball right with his left foot, following through with a good extension, hitting his mark, and he's got a nice speed on the ball.
7 in a row. In what frame from now on, Dick, does the ball get a little heavier?
Chris, it's already heavy right now. He's thinking. He's no different than anybody else. We all start getting a little bit nervous after we get 7 or 8 in a row. And the butterflies do fly.
Bowling not only to win this game, but a possible $10,000 check from ABC. I'm sure our viewers here at the Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC are into as Wayne Zahn now bowls away. Great champion, 12 PBA titles, bowling against 25-year-old Bill Spigner, who has yet to win his first. Zahn trailing by 75. It's going to be a helpless feeling, Dick Weber, when somebody's stringing them.
Yeah, you know the game's over with. You want to get out of his way so he can go ahead and get his 300 game. That's what Zahn is really doing. Real good champion.
Wayne Zahn. All right. He has 8 strikes.
Chris, now here's really a point where you really go through your basic fundamental games. And I hate to keep stressing basic fundamentals, but you do it in every sport. You've got to make sure that you're set. You've got to make sure that the ball feels comfortable in your hand. You must take your time going that foul line. You want to roll the ball, get good lift on the ball, extend to your spot, hit your spot. Just a number of things, and all these things are going through your mind. A lot of pressure.
On the right lane, 9th frame. Great break. Now he needs only 3 more.
That's the off hit you want, Chris. That's the one you want. You want that one off the wall. You want that kicker where you kick the 4 at times. You've got to have that lucky little break. and yet it's still in the pocket.
Like rimming a putt. And still having it go in, of course. This is a try for number 10. Well, just a little bit too fast, a little bit excited, Chris, which is not very understandable. That's the 2-5. There goes the replay here. You'll see that he gets ahead of the ball just a little bit with his left foot. And he's a little bit late, so he has to round the ball, circle the ball as we call it, and leaving the 2-5 pin. All right, now going for the 2-5. Assured of going into the next game against Barry Asher is Bill Spigner. Boy, it gave us all a thrill here in the very first game, first week of a 16-week series of the Professional Bowlers Tour. We'll be back in a moment. Bowled a 275 to Wayne Zahn's 201. So, with a 74-pin victory in the very first game, first week, it'll be Bill Spigner now going against veteran 28-year-old Barry Asher. The winner of that to meet Connor. The winner then to meet Mickey Higham, who is the tournament leader, just waiting in the wings. I'm Chris Schenkel, and today we're pleased to have with us many-time champion Dick Weber from St. Louis, Missouri. And, Dick, I know all of us look forward to the telecast following the PBT telecast, and that, of course, is the Hula Bowl live via satellite. Dennis Franklin, great Michigan quarterback. Steve Bartowski. Pat Hayden, who engineered a great victory for Southern California over Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Well, 30 of the best from the West and 30 of the best from the East in the Hula Bowl. Spigner's first stroke. Coming up high.
Chris, you notice now he's sort of laxed. He knew he had that first game won, and he lost a little bit when he got that 2-5. Here we go with a replay. Right here, Chris. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a little anxious, trying to really give the ball a little bit too much with the fingers and pulling the ball right to the nose. Before, in the 10th frame, he left the 2-5 pin, so he wanted to correct a little bit.
Now going for the 3-6. Very close, but he opens with a spare. And now we get our first look in competition today. Barry Asher, an 8-time champion. He hasn't won since 1973 when he took the Showboat Invitational and the Tucson Opens. Nearly got the kick to take out the 10 pin, but he'll have to try to cover the 10 now in the first frame.
Barry's one of our strong bowlers on the tour, one of the strong boys with the fingers. And you'll keep hearing me say fingers, but it's not the loft. It's the amount of stiffness that you execute with the fingers to give the ball English and a hook on the ball. Roll.
Like so many of these professional bowlers, you ask them about their hobbies, and 9 out of 10 will say golf. It is a great getaway sport, Dick Weber.
Yes, it is. With my 15 handicap. What's your...
Strong 15. All right, Barry Asher with a strike on the left lane in the second frame. Replay of that strike by Asher.
Now watch Barry as he comes through with the ball. Everything's perfectly timed, but here's the lift. And you'll watch the ball. See the ball lost its trifle bit? That's where he can get by with it, and a lot of bowlers can't. And that's where he uses an extreme amount of fingers into the ball.
In other words, Dick, not recommended for an average bowler?
Not unless you know what you're doing, Chris. This is the main thing.
You'll hear pins dropping from time to time when the two competitors are not bowling. That's the next man to meet the winner of this match. Fred Connor is just warming up to the right. Now Bill Spigner won the first game, 275 to 201. has a spare up, shooting in the second. A 10-pin.
You notice the difference between Figner and Asher. Asher lofts the ball, or what we call a loft ball, over the foul line, and Spigner rolls the ball across the foul line. There's quite a difference. If they still have enough lift and enough turn on that ball to make it snap on the end and carry the pins the way they do.
So it's the return of the Professional Bowlers Tour here in the first quarter. ABC Sports. Tomorrow, the return and the 1975 premiere of the Superstars. First round of men's preliminary competition. American Sportsman returns, and that ball didn't come back.
No. You can't go to sleep on your spirits either, Chris. Just like your strikes. You cannot go to sleep. You've got to concentrate on every shot that you make, especially in a one-game match.
Our live coverage from Mel's Bowl across the Bay Bridge in the San Francisco Bay Area in Alameda. So let's see what Bill Spigner, who had a big 275 in the first game, will do after the Open. He'll be shooting in the third frame. Here's Barry Asher. After a string of 10 in a row in the first game, Bill Spigner having his troubles here in the second game.
All right, Chris. Again, here's the 6 and 7 split pin leave. You'll have to hit that 6 pin to the extreme right to slant it across to hit the 7 pin. And you'll stand extreme left on the approach to throw the ball cross lane at the 6 pin.
Went for it, naturally. So, a replay of the attempt for a conversion.
Here it is, Chris. And he's just going to miss these marks to the right just a little bit too far, and the ball's going to slide a little bit too far and fall off into the gutter.
Barry Asher leading by 24 with a strike up, shooting third frame. And Barry Asher now has a double. Looking very confident.
Barry has a very unique style. He can either force the ball to hook, or he can be like a swan going to the foul line at times, where he just lets the weight of the ball come through with his arm and just roll the ball perfectly. But other times he can really force also, like a weightlifter.
Pocket hit, and he has put together 3 in a row. Here's a look at positions 19 through 24. We'll take a break. Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC. Live coverage from Alameda, California. Barry Asher has a 44-pin lead. As you see, he's put 3 in a row. He's going against Bill Spigner, who won the first game over Wayne Zahn 275 to 201. And here is Spigner.
And he's got to do it right here, Chris. He's got to start.
And it's a 10-pin for the 25-year-old Connecticut native who started with 10 in a row in the first game. Comes from a family of bowlers. In fact, his father carries a 180 average.
And I have the same spare on lane 30 as he had last time, the 10-pin. Of course, the solid 10 is something that you really can't really compete. He just about missed it the last time, too. Let's see what he does here.
A little wry smile from Bill Spigner. In that first game, and I correct myself, he had 9 in a row, not 10. And now is down by 44 pins.
And he knows that he can't give Barry Asher the edge that he's given him right now. He has to get started. He felt like he had good confidence in the last ball he threw on lane 30. He's got to continue it, though, to keep in the game.
Another 10-pin for Bill Spigner.
It's what we call a half 10, Chris. The ball doesn't quite finish to get the 6-pin to bump the 10-pin. This is what we call a half 10, and it's a very difficult thing to change. It's maybe a quarter inch on the lane, or a little bit in speed, or a little more lift on the ball. One of those three.
Ah, yes, the voice of Dick Weber. 24 PBA titles. Smooth. And a spare. And now it's Barry Asher, leading by 45.
Yeah. Chris, I was talking to Barry Asher a little while ago about his 1974 year, and it's pretty bad for him. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I started out in 1974, Dick, with pneumonia, which wasn't too good a way to start out the year. And when I got well, I had a lot of mental problems adjusting. Finally, I went to a man in L.A. named Arthur Allen, who's a hypnotist. He's worked with a number of athletes. Maury Wills was one. And then things started to come around. And since then, I feel everything's been getting better.
How true. The voice of Barry Asher, whom you're looking, who has put together 4 in a row to take a 55-pin lead in the second game. The winner of this match will go against newcomer Fred Connor. All but the 10-pin on the left lane. Next week, our second stop will be Bowling Square in Arcadia, California, the Greater Los Angeles Open. The following week, it's the $100,000 Showboat Invitational in Las Vegas, followed 1 week later by the Denver Open. Same weekend of the famous Bing Crosby Pro-Am from Pebble Beach. Barry Asher's PBA record, really something. Averaged over 247 for 42 games and winning the 1971 South Bend Open. Now Bill Spigner, who shot a 275 in the first game to Wayne Zahn's 201, trailing by 54. He has a spare up. Bowling now, 6-frame second game.
It's definitely a must here, Chris, to start striking. He just can't stand any more spares whatsoever.
Sliding by. Wobbly.
Wobbly 8-pin, Chris. Here's a light hit. Very, very light hit, and it's just enough to nudge the 2-pin, but the 2-pin falling forward does not catch the 8-pin enough to make it to carry it. The light hit is, the very thin part of the head pin on the right.
All right, Bill Spigner, marking with the spare in the 6th frame. He'll be shooting in the 7th now. It's amazing how fans flock to the sites of our live originations to see these great champions when it comes down to the final 5, such as we have here this afternoon. They can only put in 1,000 or so, but if they had more room, they'd have several thousand watching the world's finest bowlers. Here's one of the young ones coming along strong, Bill Spigner. Another 10-pin.
Again, the half hit, Chris. He's just not getting to the foul line good the way he wants to. He's not getting the good finger lift. He's not getting the good speed. A couple of years ago, this boy started on the tour, and Larry Lichtenstein, one of our ex-pros now, he's with the PBA, working for the PBA and the paddock services for the members, has talked with this boy and really straightened him out, because 2 years ago, this boy didn't have a chance on the tour whatsoever. It's amazing to see him out here on TV today.
Now Barry Asher, who has a spare up, shooting in the 7th. Comfortable lead, second game.
All right, Chris. Now let's watch what Barry Asher did on this particular ball. Now watch the upswing on this ball. When he comes through with the ball, it's a little bit too much. He's starting to come down now. Watch. He'll uplift too much and really lost the ball more than he really wanted to. And this causing the ball to slide and hit the pins very, very light on the head pin.
There on the 7th for Barry Asher. I noticed one thing, Dick, on his, when he sets himself on the approach, seems a little tentative. In other words, not quite sure, shuffling the feet a little bit like, am I right or am I not quite?
Can you remember a baseball player that used to do that when he caught a ground ball? New York Yankees. Tony Kubek.
Tony Kubek. Maud Barry Asher. Perfect there. So, Bill Spigner, time running out because now he'll be shooting in the 8th frame of the second game after a first game victory. He has a spare up, trailing by 55.
The only hope is there, Chris, that he has to strike here and strike out, where Barry Asher has to have 2 opens for even Spigner to have a chance.
A bit of a high hit.
There goes the ball heavy into the head pin, very heavy, very close to a split area is what we call it in the tour, but enough to kick the 7th pin out, leaving the solid 4.
You have to trip those, right, Dick?
Very much so. You have to have those off hits to get the score well.
But one thing we will remember about Bill Spigner is the fact that his very first television appearance, he comes out of the box and throws 9 strikes in a row, completing his game of 275 to Wayne Zahn's 201.
That's pretty much class, isn't it, Chris?
It is.
Start off with 9 strikes in a row.
Poise. Spectators sympathizing with Bill Spigner and all the 10 pen lead.
Yeah, that's the 4th one, Chris, and he knows he's throwing the ball bad. In fact, he showed a little smile there.
That the folks in Connecticut can be proud of. Billy? So, Barry Asher has to have a confident feeling here, leading by 57, strike up. Who will move up to meet Fred Connor in the 3rd round of the Alameda Open. We'll have today's Pro Bowlers quiz right after this message. Right, there's Barry Asher, who defeated Billy Spigner. And each week here on the Professional Bowlers Tour, we're going to add another dimension. We're going to see just how much you know about bowling. In other words, the Bowlers Quiz. Here's our first one. We'll give you the answer a little bit later on. Known to millions of bowling fans as Wrong Foot, he got professional bowling off on the right foot when he won the very first PBA tournament at Albany, New York in 1959. All right, be thinking. Wrong foot, right foot. Won the first PBA in 1959. We'll give you the answer a little bit later on. And here at the Mel's Bowl in Alameda, California, Barry Asher came out of the wings and defeated Billy Spigner 215 to 169. It was Billy Spigner, if you just joined us, who rolled a 275 in the first game to defeat Wayne Zahn, who shot a 201. Now, Dick Weber, here is another newcomer to our television series that's in its 14th year in our very first week, Bachelor Fred Connor of Mar Vista, California.
Yeah, and you know something interesting here, Chris. Barry Asher waived his practice shadow balls for Fred Connor here. And if I was the veteran out there, I'd want to psych this kid out a little bit because, you know, these kids are tough, they're smart, they're gutsy out there. And I would want to throw 2 strikes at him right away.
All right. Barry Asher. 4-pin on the left lane. And, of course, the winner of this, the 3rd game on our live telecast from California, will meet Mickey Higham for the $7,000 first prize. All right, it's a spare for Barry Asher, 28 years old. And now we get a first look and a little analysis of Fred Connor. His 7th PBA tournament in which he's competed. First time that he has cashed. Wow. Big and strong. Fred Connor.
Now, this is his 8th year as a bowler because he only started when he was 18 years of age. He never really went through the junior program like most of our bowlers, young bowlers have. But this bowler has started at the age of 18, done it on his own, and come out on the tour.
Great study of concentration. A double for Fred Connor. That puts the pressure on Barry Asher, who defeated Bill Spigner in the last game to get to this point. 215 to 169, and Barry with a spare up, shooting in the 2nd, trailing by 10. Pretty good answer, Dick Weber.
Yes, that's the way you do it.
Let's see a replay, front and back.
All right, here we go, Chris. Now you'll watch the upswing here, the downswing and then the upswing. He won't loft this far, but he really turns and lifts. Look at that. Look at the hand on the side of the ball. And the ball turns, its belly's out, what we call a belly out, of maybe 3 to 4 boards to the right and comes back and hits powerful. That's the ball you're looking for.
Nice going, Pro. Now in the left lane. Instead of a split, the 7-pin on the left lane.
There it is. Thin on the head pin. Pin coming off and hitting the 5-pin and just barely falling. This is it. Not enough to get the 7-pin out. Look at this extension, push away, down and back, and very, very slow and deliberate, and coming through with a sliding foot and executing beautifully. Just out to his mark, a nice speed, and gives it a little action on the approach also. That helps knock the pins down.
So he has a turkey here in the 3rd game. First game won by Bill Spigner, 275-201. He was then defeated by Barry Asher, 215 to 169. Now, Connor is in the lead by 20. Ooh. The 2, 4, and 5 left on the left lane. So this is an interesting spare, Dick Weber, coming up.
Yes, here we go. He's a little bit excited, a little bit fast, getting ahead of the ball and looping the ball out and catching too much to the right side of the head pin, not carrying enough, and leaving the 2, 4, 5. Which is a very tough spirit, Chris. You can chop this in many ways. Chop the 2 straight off the 5, not get up to the 2, 4, leaving the 4 pin, or going too much past the 2-5. But he covers it perfectly.
Fred Connor from Mar Vista, California. We'll be back with more of this third-round match and the answer to today's quiz in just a moment. To the bowler's quiz we gave you a little earlier, known to millions as the wrong foot, but he bowled off the right foot when he won the very first PBA tournament. Still admired by bowling fans everywhere, his name is Lou Campy, the man who never forgot his training in bocce as he rolled his way to stardom. Great champion.
Very much so, Chris.
All right, there you see the score. Barry Asher, who will be shooting now. He has a 17-pin lead. Shooting in the fourth frame, he has a spare up. The winner to go into the finals for $7,000 against Mickey Higham of Kansas City.
Missouri?
10-pin for Barry Asher.
Barry didn't like that shot. He's talking to himself on the approach. A little bit too much loft again. He wants to cut that loft down.
Barry Asher remaining consistent with the spares, getting another in the fourth frame, and holding an 18-pin lead. Correction, he is trailing by 18. He's bowling Fred Connor, young, strong. Who's better?
You can always tell when Barry rolls a good ball, he comes up and looks at the ceiling like, well, I've done it. I've accomplished something.
Now there's Fred Connor getting the bowling ball. Here's a young man that needs the money to resume his flying lessons. Needs just 10 hours more to get his private pilot's license. Keeps doing that, he'll have more than enough for the 10 hours ahead. Let's get a profile replay of Fred Connor.
Watch this little hitch here, Chris. He comes back, steps out, and then there goes the elbow out with the push away and gives himself a good timing position. Some bowlers always have little things like that they do to get into the timing. And there's a good follow-through extension, foot perpendicular to the foul line. Everything is great. Shoulders parallel.
Fred Connor can up his margin if he could strike here because it would be a double. Oh, another 10-pin. We mentioned next week in Arcadia, California, then Las Vegas, and then the Colorado Bowl for the Denver Open. February 1st, the $60,000 King Louis Open. February 8th, the $85,000 Copenhagen Open. The Buckeye Lanes in North Olmsted, Ohio, February 15th. The $70,000 Fairlanes Open, Springfield, Virginia. Then to New York, the $60,000 Long Island Open, Garden City, Long Island. So it's a spare for Fred Connor here in the third game as he continues to lead by 18 pins on Barry Asher. Barry can narrow that now because he has a strike up shooting in the sixth frame. Has been cut to 8 pins. Well, here we go, Dick Weber.
Yeah, this boy here, I've watched him a number of years. In fact, this was a protege for Billy Whaler. You know, Billy instructed this man considerably throughout his junior career. But Barry has developed a little nervous habit, and it bothers him for the fact that he can't get started on his approach. But he won't start until he really feels comfortable, and he's stubborn that way, which is very, very good.
Trying for 3 in a row. to a 2-pin lead. Action will continue in the third match. Let's take a pause. Looking at Fred Conner, who jumped off to an early lead by stringing 3. And then Barry Asher came on strong to take a slight lead as we went away. Asher leading by 3 pins as Fred Conner shot in the 7th frame and marked with a spare. Now here he is in the 8th. As we told you earlier, needs 10 hours to get his private pilot's license.
Very exciting shot there, Chris. He, what we call double dribbled the ball, and the ball held the line all the way to carry the 10 pins. A very lucky break for Fred Conner.
Now Barry Asher, who has 3 in a row, shooting in the 8th frame with a 3-pin lead. Almost came up for a perfect hit, but leaving the 7th pin on the right lane. Let's have a replay of it, Dick Weber.
All right, here we go, Chris. Again, he wanted to make sure he get the ball over the foul line good, but not as far as he did, because you can see the ball sliding down the lane and coming in late, sliding the 5-pin in front of the 7. Just another fraction of an inch or 2 closer to the foul line, he would have carried the 7-pin.
Okay, Barry Asher with a spare. And I'm especially proud, Dick Weber and ladies and gentlemen, to be here for the 14th straight year of the leadoff show of another new year, 1975, which begins fantastic sports coverage here on ABC. Season's premiere of the Superstars at 2 Eastern, 1 Central and Pacific, followed by American Sportsman, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central and Pacific, following The Thunder Wolf. The narrator, motion picture star Robert Redford. Barry Asher here in Alameda, California, leads the 7-pin. And then the Sunday premiere, and what a way to start. First time on home television, the Muhammad Ali-George Foreman spectacular upset victory in Zaire, Africa. Howard Cosell and the champion, Ali, will be there. Plus the second annual World Series of Auto Racing featuring the International Race of Champions from Brooklyn, Michigan. What a weekend of sports on ABC. All right, it's a spare for Barry Asher. We're getting right down to the wire now. That is the spare in the 9th frame. Get this. 1 pin separating these 2 professional bowlers, Dick Weber.
All right, Chris, and count is very, very important here. If Fred Conner does not strike, the difference will be 1 pin, like you mentioned. But if he strikes, that gives him 11 pin, but he has to be very, very careful for the next ball on that count. Count is very, very important.
All right.
And the spare isn't very easy.
No.
Either. 2, 4, 5.
When you described a little earlier the easy chopping possibility here.
All right, with the spare, it'll still be Fred Conner down by 1 pin. But he can't afford another 7-pin count like he got there. He has to strike or get at least a 9-pin count and force Asher to do the same.
And the winner of this third game meets Mickey Higham in the final game for $7,000 first prize. Here it is, 2, 4, 5. Gets it. And he looks up at the overhead score sheet to make sure.
All right, now he's looking over the score sheet. Now, if there's a tie, we're going to go into the sudden death, what we call a 9th and 10th frame. But he's looking over that score sheet. Now, if I was in his shoes, and I'm thinking just like he would now on the approach, I'm going to throw the ball a little bit straighter and possibly a little bit harder so I can at least assure myself of 9 pins, if not getting the strike.
Coming up high, leaving the 6, 7, And
one of those bad things, Chris. He actually got a little excited about it. He wanted to make sure he got high enough to carry that strike. He pulled the ball right to the nose, leaving the 6-7-10. And all the veterans have done it too.
oh, so very close. He has bowled a 202, and the last shot was go for broke.
And Chris, just a little bit farther to the right, and he might have had the split made because he came very, very close. Look at this. Oh, just a matter of inches.
Now Barry Asher, leading by 15, is up. Shooting in the 10th with a spare working.
Barry needs a good count here. He can't afford a bad count either. Great fans, aren't they, Chris?
Barry Asher. He started way down the list yesterday and last night to get on the TV shows, did Wayne Zahn. Comes right through with a double here, and Barry Asher is the winner. So it'll be Barry Asher going against Mickey Higham at stakes $7,000. We'll be back. So Barry Asher now is into the final against Mickey Higham with a 227-202 victory over Fred Connor. Right now we're proud to go into another dimension that we'll be presenting from time to time on all our ABC Sports series here in 1975. Right now we're going to recapture the excitement of last year's Midas Open played right here at Mel's Bowl in Alameda. This feature is brought to you by Gold Label Luxury Cigars. With Gold Label you get 24-karat quality. Riding on a string of 10 straight strikes, Jim Stefanich stepped up to the line for his second ball in the 10th frame, and with our ABC cameras on hand to record the action, Stefanich delivers a solid strike to the delight of the spectators at Mel's Bowl, from where we're talking today here in Alameda, California. Last year's $100,000 Midas Open was the first stop of ABC's 1974 Pro Bowlers Tour, and what a way to begin an exciting season with all the action and suspense of a perfect game at stake. As Stefanich prepared for his final ball, a national audience shifted in their seats in anticipation. Would the young professional from Joliet, Illinois, do the trick? Well, he's a true professional, Jim Stefanich. And as you'll see, he sent the pins flying across the lane for the 12th strike in a perfect game. What a moment to relive that day 1 year ago as Stefanich fell to the floor in relief. All of us were sure pulling for that young man, and ABC presented him a check for $10,000. And again, we congratulate Jim on a perfect game. Well, we're sorry we had a little problem with the video of Jim Stefanich's 12th strike, which gave him a perfect 300 game and $10,000. But right now, Barry Asher, who won the last game over Fred Connor 227-202, rolls first against the tournament leader, Mickey Higham of Kansas City, Missouri, who watches intently along with you. Barry Asher lets everyone know that he wants to make this year a little better than previous year, opening with a strike.
Here's a boy that's been knocking around the tour a pretty long time, Chris, even though he's 28 or 29 years of age here. He's been around considerably amount of time. Good little bowler.
Sure is. Mickey Higham, Kansas City, Missouri, married, and his wife, Liana, is in the audience today. 5'8", 145 pounds. He had a week's average of 214 to become the tournament leader. Last year, his best in the PBA competition, well, he did well enough to win $15,000. Going for the 10 cross lane. This week, in addition to 3 more professional bowling telecasts, a total of 16, this is the first. I gave you a rundown up to March 1st, and on that day, the finals of the $100,000 Midas Open from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. March 8th, the $70,000 Ebonite Don Carter Classic from Miami. March 15th, the $75,000 Lincoln Mercury Open. at the Dick Weber lanes in Florissant, Missouri. Beautiful strike by Mickey Higham, the tournament leader. The state vote. Barry Asher now can forge ahead. Put the pressure on if he can come up with a strike here, because it would be a double. Barry Asher here in the final game, $7,000 to the winner. Our 16 stops across the United States, continuing with March 22nd, the $80,000 Monroe Max Air Open from Pelican Lanes in Metairie, Louisiana. The 29th, the $100,000 BPAA United States Open from Grand Prairie, Texas, April 5th. $80,000 Miller High Life Open, April 12th. The $85,000 Ebonite Open from Imperial Lanes in Toledo. And then the $125,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions, Riviera Lanes, Akron, Ohio. Coming up a little high, leaving the 6 pin on the left lane, Dick Weber.
Yes, he's very happy too, Chris, because when he released the ball, he reared back, and he knew he was going to be high because he pulled the ball all the way through. Right here you go. He's a little bit too fast. He shoulders the ball. The right shoulder came into the shot, making him pull the ball. You see him fall back.
That was a spare for Barry Asher in the third frame of the final game. Now Mickey Higham, the tournament leader, trailing by 9, but he has a strike up. Shooting now in the third. And there is Liana, Mickey Higham White, watching the competition live along with you. That's really a fun game, Dick Weber.
Yes, it gets difficult at times, though, Chris. You have to go through your fundamentals again. But boy, is it exciting when you're going to win. And Mickey knows he's going to win. He feels like it.
Ooh, up high again. Good study of that interesting face. 10 years ago, Mickey suffered a tragic accident, leaving a bowling center. He fell, he hit his head on the pavement, had a severe concussion, was in intensive care for 18 days. Feared he'd never walk again, but he just proved that. Here he is in the finals. Going for the 6 pin. Covers it. So we'll be back with more of this final game from Mel's Bowl in Alameda, California, after this message. Barry Asher, bowling in the 4th frame, left the 1-2, but he did make the spare. And now he is on the left lane. This is the final game, and left the 7 pin. The winner to get $7,000. All right. Lead has changed as Barry Asher rests the leader, Mickey Higham. He leads by only 3 pins, shooting in the 5th frame. Has a spare working, Dick Weber, in the 4th.
Yes, and he's very aware that he wants to keep his count very, very clean, like to the 9 pin or to the 10 pin count. Once a striker, 9 pins at the
4 pin on the right lane.
Because as you get down to those final frames, the count is the main thing. And you don't want to get yourself in the hole.
The Mickey Highams bought a brand new motorhome as Christmas present to each other. And that's his hobby, moving from tournament to tournament via a motorhome. All right, it's a spare for Mickey. And he retains a 2-pin lead.
Here we go, Chris. He's releasing the ball really well over the foul line. Extension real straight. Just watch the extension and then letting the ball break just maybe 2 or 3 boards to his left there, making the 4-pin.
Another 10-pin on the left lane. We're here at Mel's Bowl, another of the American Recreation Center bowling establishments here in the United States. We received wonderful cooperation from the American Recreation Center's president, Bob Poichter. Cal Scott, entire staff here at Mel's Bowl, superb. Spare for Mickey Higham in this final match, to be followed by the Hula Bowl, live via satellite.
Here's Asher on lane 30 now, Chris. In the time before in the 4th frame, while we were cutting away, he left the 1-2. Let's see if he makes a correction here. He'll study this lane out just a little bit more.
This was Billy Waylu's protege, the late Billy Waylu, who did the commentary with us for 12 consecutive years. And sorry about his untimely passing last spring. We miss him. We also miss Joe Richards. The sport of bowling on every level lost a treasured friend, Dean of America's Bowling Writers, New York Daily News. He passed away at 81. Quite a man, the man with the cigar who always sat in, watched the telecast, and the bowlers whom he admired. All right, Barry Asher, who was in the number 3 position, came on and defeated Bill Spigner, who bowled a 275 to Wayne Zahn's 201 in the first game. Asher beat him 215 to 169, and then in the last game he defeated Fred Connor 227 to 201, and now he's bowling against the tournament leader. As he covers the 3-pin for a spare in this final game, and it's a close one. 1 pin separating Asher and Mickey Higham of Kansas City, Missouri. Mickey with a spare up in the 6th, now shooting in the 7th. He is the leader by 1.
And Chris, that's exactly the thing that he did not want to do. He did not want to go wide and leave the 1-2-4. It's a tough spare in the first place to make, and second place he lost count. And again, we're getting into those late frames where count is very, very important. Here it goes. He misses his mark to the extreme right, and the ball is sliding out, missing the head pin, leaving the 1-2-4.
Look at it. 1-2-4. Watch your stroke. Watch the pins. Dropping the 1-2 off the 4, and oh, that's a disaster. An open frame. Giving him 133 and a replay of it.
There he goes, Chris, and he gets inside his mark a little bit too much. He wants to get more to the left of his mark. He hits the head pin a little bit too full, wrapping the 2-pin right around the 4-pin and leaving the 4-pin.
Mickey Higham now trailing by 13. Coming up high, and Dick, well, when it falls apart, it really comes.
The overcorrection, Chris. The 1-2-4 on lane 30, now the 4-7-9 on 29. He wants to make sure that the ball gets to the head pin, and he overdoes it, pulling the ball to the head pin. Here it goes, right here. Just shoulder shot a little bit, pulling the ball to the nose, hitting it a little bit too full, leaving the 4-7-9 as we see it.
All right, the 9 remains standing, and it's the second open frame for the tournament leader, and that means that Barry Asher now gets up to bowl in the 8th frame with a spare up, leading by 24.
Asher wants to make sure that he stays away from trouble now. He doesn't want to get a bad count, like Higham did. that possible chop of the spare, or get too high on the nose and leaving that split.
Ooh. Little luck now, man.
He's very happy, Chris. The lucky break, carrying the 2-pin forward, which is a very unusual strike hit.
The reaction, I guess, unusual.
The baby face smile, right?
That like I got away with it. So that's a strike in the 8th for Barry Asher. Now stroking in the 9th.
He's going to work extremely hard on this shot because with this strike, he can afford an open with a good count in the 10th frame, Chris. So he's going to work extremely hard on this shot. There's your action.
That looks like a Dick Weber running out of strike. Barry Asher. Oh, doubling, and what a time to double. That's a replay, folks. Now Mickey Higham, the tournament leader, who waited in the wings all this time while Asher won 2 games.
Chris, he needed that strike very badly. It's just like lights out for Mickey Higham. Mickey knows it, shows a little bit of disgust there. But don't forget this boy. He's going to be around for a number of years. A good, fierce competitor.
27-year-old Mickey Higham of Kansas City, Missouri, marking with a spare. All members of the Professional Bowling Association, whose executive director is Joe Antonora. We'd like to thank Joe and Mel's Bowl for their cooperation. Prize money is furnished by the PBA and American Recreation Centers. And Dick, I'd like to congratulate you on being president of the PBA Tournament Committee.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I follow the steps of Nelson Burton Jr., who is our reigning president now. Nelson Burton Jr. was our tournament chairman last year. And it's quite an honor to be chairman of the tournament committee.
And of course, you were president of the PBA once, too.
Yes, had that good fortune.
Now, Barry Asher. Oh, that was a pocket hit. There he is. Barry Asher has not won in 2 years, but he did it today, winning $7,000